Important. Okay, thank you for bearing with me. I apologize. I have no idea what I did. But anyway, I'm going to walk you through my power hour. I'm going to try to do it quickly since I definitely don't want to waste your guys' time. So when it comes to your power hour, tracking what you're doing is key, is like the key to your success. You have to know who you've talked to. You have to know what behaviors you've engaged in every day so that you can track how things are going and you can see where the areas you are weak and you can see where the areas you are strong so that you can develop and grow as a coach, okay? One of the things early on that was introduced to me that like changed my business in terms of productivity and in terms of tracking was the power of threes, the daily to-do list. And I know that if you've gone through new coach training, you've seen this, but it looks like this. And it basically goes through the vital behaviors, the daily must-dos of a successful coach. And so there are a lot of different ways to do it, and there's no right or wrong way. And as I was mentioning before I screwed things up a second ago, was that I'm going to share with you how I do things. Hopefully that you will be able to pick something up from the way that I do things. But you kind of have to take what you learn from me and from other coaches and figure out what works for you and what kind of groove that you can get into for your personality. You just have to make sure that you're being consistent over time. So I currently use the power of threes, and then I have a daily, a weekly little calendar thingy that I just made up really quick in Word. And it's just for me to make notes every day so that I don't forget things. You might have a notebook or something like that, but just make sure that you have everything in one place. And then I have a giant binder, and I basically have like all of my power of threes in here from forever ago that I can look back at and see who I've talked to in the past. If I am having trouble coming up with people to follow up with or whatever, I can flip back and see who I talked to last year this time. So it's important to keep all of that information because, you know, you could possibly use it down the road. But anyway, working off of the power of three lists, I start at the top. Actually, I don't start at the top. I'm lying. I start where it says back office. Check in with the back office. So this is the first place I go every day when I sit down to do my power hour. And I check to see what kind of volume I have. I check my Success Club points, and I check the coach breaking news. I also check down here where it shows you how many new coaches you have in your organization, how many are going inactive, new customers. That even if you just spend 5 minutes in your back office looking around and just checking on everything, and then as your team grows, you'll want to check your downline sponsors, my business, my downline sponsorship drill down, because that will show you people that are going to be inactive by the next business week, and that type of thing. So you can keep tabs on all of that. So this is the first place I go when I sit down to do my power hour. And I sit down to do my power hour around 12:30 because that's when my kids go down for a nap. So I just like pump this stuff out as fast as I can because I only have a small window of time before they wake up or before we have to go get my daughter from school. So then I go to my Facebook and I hit home, and you can see over here on my favorites, I have all of my groups that I have going on, my team pages, and it's really easy for me to check in with those groups and those team pages because they're my favorites. And it's nice when they're your favorites as well, because it shows that new stuff has happened by that little number on the side. So, okay, new friends on Facebook. There are a few different ways to do this depending on where you're at with your business, but as a new coach, I think the easiest way to go about adding new friends is just to go to your actual page and click on friends, and then you'll click find friends. And that will bring up people that you might know, okay? People you may know. But there's this cool search engine over here on the side. If you wanted to search specifically by, say, your hometown, you could type in your hometown or the current city that you live in, or the high school you went to, or the college you went to, or a past employer. It's a nice, easy way to search for people that you might know that wouldn't necessarily pop in your head, you know, by just like trying to brainstorm people. You also search for mutual friends of certain people. So, you know, let's see. Let's see if I can mute you guys. Okay. So if you have a friend, like I have this friend from college, she's really bubbly, she's really outgoing, and just has a ton of friends. And I know that we might have some mutual acquaintances or something like that, like a friend of a friend type thing. So I might type her name in here and see who pops up because I might know someone. And in the beginning, whenever I was adding friends, I was adding people that I knew from, you know, these different types of places, maybe my hairstylist, maybe my doctor, or nurses that I know, maybe, you know, teachers that I've worked with in the past. I used to live in Kansas City, so maybe something like that. You can kind of brainstorm when you're a new coach, people that you would know. And then as you continue through your coaching business, you're going to get to a point where it's harder to find those people that you actually know. And so that's when you start having to maybe add friends of friends, people that you have a lot of mutual friends with. Or, you know, you get to the point where you would have a like page and you would start adding people that are liking your page or commenting on your posts and that type of thing. Now what I do is go to my like page and see who has recently liked my page, and I look at those people's profiles, and if they seem like they would be in my target audience, then I would send them a friend request. Now, if they are the complete opposite of me, or it doesn't look like we would have anything in common, then I don't send them a request, because I'm trying to attract people like me, people that I could relate with. So keep that in mind as you're adding new friends. So add new friends, 3 people a day at least. Boom, boom, boom. It shouldn't take more than a couple minutes. All right, moving down the line, starting new conversations and building relationships with people. So I actually watched a Power Hour live video like this that Tara recently did, and so I pulled some ideas from her and then some also from what I do. But she was saying she keeps, and I do this too, so I use the Power of Threes as a guideline, basically a checklist. But then I have started keeping a notebook also. So I'll use the Daily Power Threes as a checklist, but I have a notebook where I write down these people's names and maybe just like a little bit about what we discussed if I'm having conversations with them. Or if I'm adding new friends, I might make a little notice to how I came across their profile, you know, whether it was from a like page or a friend of a friend, just so I can kind of have that note down for future reference. So when you're building building new relationships, starting new conversations, adding value through likes and comments, what you should be doing is going back to last week's new friends that you added and start adding value to their pages. So you might go to their page. Like, let me look, for instance, last week, here's a girl. Her name was Abby. So I would type in her name and I would go to her page, and because we became friends very recently, I would just go to her page and maybe like a couple things, and then maybe go back the next day and add a comment or two. So you are what you eat. So I mean, that really speaks to me because that's the type of thing that I would share. So you might like that. You might, you know, something to do with her kids. So you might like that really quickly. And then in the next day or two, you might check back to her profile and see what else she's posted and maybe comment. And then, you know, just follow it for like a week or so and see if there's something that you see on her page that you could bring into a conversation then, you know, like maybe she has gone four-wheeling over the weekend because it was a beautiful weekend. Well, my family and I just did that this past weekend, so I could take, you know, that conversation point and take it into a private message and just start chatting with her. And I'm not like necessarily like right away bringing up Beachbody or bringing up what I do, just chatting with her. Now, When I add people from my like page, it's a little different because I have that conversation point with them from the very beginning. The fact that we have an interest in fitness and nutrition, we have that in common because they've liked my page. So I go about that a little bit differently, and I can go over that too if you want me to, but that is what I did in the beginning. I would add friends. I would, the next week I would go and I would check their pages and just try to like and comment on a few things. And then if I saw something that, spoke to me, I would take it into a private message and just start having a conversation with those people. So that's how I went about starting new conversations and building relationships. I would also allow myself like 5 or 10 minutes at the most just to scroll through my feed. And if something I saw in my feed really spoke to me, maybe it was an existing friend, not someone new that I had added, but an existing friend, if something spoke to me and I thought I could bring it into a private message, then I would. So when you do that, if you do that, I think it's really important that you set, almost like literally set a timer for yourself so that you aren't scrolling through your newsfeed for 30 minutes because it's easy to get sucked in. The other thing I would do is when you do that, if and when you do that, where it says newsfeed, I would do most recent, not top stories, but just the most recent stuff that was posted. And I would go through and just scroll for like 5 minutes. And if I saw something from an existing friend that I could bring into a private message, I would. And that's just how I started generating conversations and building relationships with people. One girl sticks out in my mind. She was an old sorority sister of mine, and she had posted something about being in Kansas City over the weekend, or like some place in Kansas City over the weekend. And so I just brought it into a conversation in a private message and was like, hey girl, I saw that you were in Kansas City doing blah, blah, blah over the weekend. I can't remember what it was. Let's just say it was a Royals game. I was like, do you live in Kansas City? I never even realized that. I'm here too. Because that was when we still lived there. And so we just got to talking. And then, we talked back and forth for a while, and then it eventually went to, how are you? What are you up to these days? That type thing. And, she told me what she was up to and what type of job she had. And then I did the same and told her I was, doing health and fitness related stuff. And she was like, you know what? I'm kind of interested in what you do. So it just takes time to build those relationships, but those conversations work. I had another girl with the same type of thing. I saw that she was engaged, and I knew her when she was like a kid in a play that we were in together. And so I sent her a quick message and was like, I can't believe you're engaged. And we started talking, and eventually she joined one of my groups. And one of those two girls even became a coach. She's a discount coach. So it really does work. But taking that time to build those relationships and make those people feel like you care about what's going on in their lives, because you really do, it really does pay off. So that's what that whole section is about. Then invite to next group or mention next group, or you're even just planting the seed for the next group. So I was just mentioning that after I had a few back and forth conversations with that girl, we mentioned to each other what we had been doing, what our jobs were, type of thing. And I think I probably said, do you have an interest in health and fitness? I would consider that planting a seed. When you're looking at this column, invite to the next group or mention the next group, these are most likely going to be people that you've been having conversations with for a while. You know what I mean? Like, you probably aren't going to just send someone a message out of the blue and invite them to a group unless they've shown interest in the past. I have not had good luck just sending out cold invites, like, going down my friend list and just sending out 5 cold messages to people like, hey, I don't know if you've seen what I've been doing, but are you interested? I personally haven't had any success with that, really. And I just don't, there are some people on Tara's team that do it and do have success with it. So if that's something that you feel comfortable doing, then give it a try. But it just really hasn't worked for me. I tend to gravitate towards that, building the relationship and taking the time to really talk to people. So these people that you would be inviting most likely are going to be people that you've had past conversations with, or, you've talked to them a few times and now you're planting the seed. What was I going to say about that? Oh, Sometimes you may have 3 invites in one day, and sometimes you may have 0 invites in a day. It just kind of depends on the conversations that you're having and how they're going. So for that column, what I would do is not necessarily try to hit that daily goal, but try to hit a weekly goal of either planting a seed or actually inviting so many people to the group. So for that, it would be like 15 a week. And then kind of the same for coaching. These people that you're going to be inviting to coaching aren't necessarily people that you're just like seeing on your news feed and deciding you're going to just send out a cold invite. These are probably people that you have been talking to that I'm going to do, let's see if I can figure this out. Because I feel like I'm talking more than you don't really need to see my Facebook right now. Well, actually, I don't want to screw anything up, so I'm just going to leave it. But when you're inviting to coaching, that is probably going to be someone that you have had conversations with, and they have somehow presented some type of need. Like this business can help people in a lot of ways. It can help people with their fitness and nutrition. It can help people financially. It can give people freedom. So when people in your conversations are talking about not liking their job or being stressed out and tired or just not feeling good about themselves, that type of thing, then that's when you could say, well, have you ever thought about coaching? Have you ever thought about doing what I do? I'd love to share some information with you, and just keep it really to the point and simple. One webinar that I was listening to recently by Janelle Summers, it was really, really good. She is like our upline or something like that, but she's amazing. She was saying that she keeps it really to the point and simple like that. When she sees some way in which Beachbody coaching can fulfill a need in someone's life, she just says, have you ever thought about doing what I'm doing? I'd love to share more information with you. And then before she closes the message, she doesn't just leave it at that. She takes it back to something personal at the end of that message. And I've started doing that, and it helps so much. So you extend your invite, and then you say, by the way, your profile pic is so adorable. How is your little girl doing? So you're taking it back to something personal. And you're maybe asking one more question so that they're again prompted to reply. Do you know what I'm saying? So I thought that was a good tip. That's kind of off topic, but anyway, so when you're inviting to coaching, again, there's a slot there for, every day of the week, 1 to invite every day of the week. But again, you might have days where you don't invite any. You might have days where you invite a couple. It just depends on how the conversations you're having are going. So again, just have some type of check at the end of the week, maybe to have 5 or so that you have added. Honestly, I'm more around 3 a week, and that's just me being honest with you. But I've grown my business a lot slower than Tara. If you want to grow your business faster, then you would invite more. Then you've got back to your back office, which that's something that I do first thing whenever I sit down. Your challenge group, your personally sponsored coaches, your success partner, those are just things that you can check off. Posts on Facebook 3 times a day. I'm going to try this again. Okay, if you were to go to my Facebook page, I just want to kind of show you real quick. Okay. So this has a column for 3 posts a day. I also have a like page, so I strive anyways, to split it 2 and 2 and do 2 on my personal page and 2 on my like page per day. Now, in the perfect world, that would happen every day, but it doesn't always happen. But I do every day try at a bare minimum to have 3 posts on my 2 pages combined. But my goal is 2 and 2. So for instance, today I did one about a mom win, and think in terms of branding yourself and what type of person you want people to know you as, and then the type of person that you want to attract, because basically you're going to attract you. So I talk about a mom win from Target. I did a personal development post this morning because that's I try to, share uplifting type things and share that I am actually doing personal development. I share a lot about being a mom. My kids are funny, or at least I think they are. I, encourage my people in my groups to share and tag me when they do. Here we go. I was considering a cold nutty bar because I was really hungry and needed some chocolate, and then my Shakeology showed up on my door, thank God. So I was excited. So I shared that, you're just showing people your real life. Bryn came home the other night and she was doing exercises from her little Kindle, and it was so cute. So I thought I'd share. Just share your life. And I know in the beginning, 3 posts a day might seem really overwhelming, but it does get easier as you go. But just think about the different things that you are doing as a coach. You could share, if you're doing your personal development, which I hope you are every day, you could share something from that every day. You could share one thing about something going on in your life per day. And then maybe one thing coach related. It could be fitness or nutrition. You could share recipes. You could share what you had for dinner. You could share what kind of Shakeology you had. You could share. But if you just break it up into that type of plan every day, it makes it a little easier. But just be real and share who you are, because who you portray is who you will attract, okay? In terms of like pages, as a new coach, you don't necessarily need to get that started right away, but I would recommend getting a page started within the first several months, because at first, when you first start coaching, you're going to have the support of those close friends and family, the people that know you and love you and want to support you. But for me, I found by about month 6, that really started to dry up, and that's the exact point at which I opened my Facebook like page. And by that point, I had kind of a lull in my business for several months while I was trying to build up my like page. So if you can be riding out that flow of friends and family that are supporting you and joining you in the beginning, and then kind of be working at that same time to get your like page up and running, and then start going with that, I think that would really serve you well. Because if you get to that 6-month mark and things start to get really slow, that can be tough while you're trying to build up a like page. And a like page and getting that up and running is a whole nother probably topic. We could discuss at a different time, but I'm happy to do that sometime if anyone is interested. So challenge groups, checking in with your challenge groups, checking in with your team pages and that type of thing. I really highly recommend that you find some type of routine for yourself every day and stick with it. And I think most of you are pretty good about this, but I'm just going to tell you really quickly what my routine is. But first I have to get my computer charger so I don't die on me. Okay, thank you. So this is how I structure my day. I know some of you are working mamas, some of you are stay-at-home mamas, some of you, we all have different schedules, so you have to find what works for you. But really quickly, I get up at 5 a.m. As soon as I get up, I drink my Energize, I sit down and do a little daily devotional, I say my prayers, and then I do my workout first thing in the morning. Tara, in the video I watched today, said she gets up and does all those same things, but then she gets started with her power hour right away because she knows she will, no matter what, get her workout in the day, but she might skip the power hour if she just doesn't bite the bullet and do it right away. And I'm the other way around. If I don't get up and do my workout first thing in the morning, I'm cranky. I'm just not as pleasant of a person. I have less energy. And if I leave my workout till the end of the day, I'm much more likely to skip it because I'm tired. So I get up, do those things, and do my workout right away. And this is something that I highly, highly recommend. I put on my headphones and I do my personal development at the same time. So I'm killing two birds with one stone. I actually posted about that on my like page today. But you need to definitely try your hardest to get your PD in first thing in the morning, because it sets the tone for your day. And so when I can do my PD while I'm working out, it just really serves me well. Now, I have done a bunch of our fitness programs, and I think probably there's only a couple that you would really need to be listening to the trainer like full time to be able to follow along with. But for the most part, most of these you can just watch and keep up with. So PD during your exercise time is a really great idea. It took me a while to do that, but I love it. It makes my workout go by faster as well. So once I get done with all of that, that is when I check in to all of my groups. I personally check in on the check-in post from the day before the next morning. So usually I'm the last one to check in. So I'll check in myself, then I'll go through and like everything that my challengers have checked in, and then I'll post the next check-in for that day. So I'm kind of wrapping up the day before and then posting the new post for the next day. I hope that makes sense. And I do that in all of my groups. And then recently I've been trying to get into the habit of checking into each of my different team pages or my training pages that I'm running as well. So trying to get all of that stuff done like first thing in the morning, so that in the afternoon or in the evening, if that's when you do your power hour, when you sit down to do the power hour, you can focus solely on that and not have to worry about checking in with the groups, because that can be a little time consuming. So we talked about Facebook posts, answering messages and following up with people, their questions, their concerns, blah, blah, blah. So you might have, messages in your inbox that you need to answer, but I would also highly recommend keeping a list of people. And I've recently started doing this. Like, you could call it people in play, people that have expressed some type of interest in a program, in a group, in Shakeology, or whatever. Keep a list of them. And if you feel like you don't have anyone to follow up with, or you don't have any messages to return, then you go to the list and you start pulling people from the list and just be like, hey girl, you crossed my mind, wanted to follow up with you and see blah, 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 blah. And then I would end with something personal again. Oh, I saw that you were at the beach on vacation. How did that go? You know what I mean? Always show that you're caring about their personal life and not just about the business. So anyway, I have this big long list, and then once I actually follow up with someone on the list, put a star next to it, and I can work my way through the whole list. And then guess what? Once I've done that, I can cross some people off, and I can make a new list and start over. And so those are kind of, like I said, people that have shown interest in something specifically, either a group, a program, Shakeology, the refresh, something like that. I think that's a good idea. I also have this that I have sitting next to my computer every morning. Right now, I don't know if you can see it, but I have listed every single group that I need to check into, the team pages I want to check into, and then my training pages. And so when I'm sitting down in the morning after my workout and I'm checking in with everything, I literally have this list next to me, and whenever I check in with the group, I check it off. Because if not, the nature of Facebook is to distract you. And so you'll be like checking in with a group, and then you'll see this really cute post and you'll start scrolling through your feed and blah, blah, blah. And you just get sidetracked. So keeping a checklist has helped me a lot. It looks like somebody has a question. Yes, Alicia. Alicia asked, so are those people that showed interest but never joined you or bought anything? Yes. So this list here is a list of people that have shown interest in something. Okay, our meeting's going to end in 10 minutes, so we're going to wrap up. These are people that have shown interest in something but have not bought anything or have not joined me in a group. So I can follow up with those people if I don't feel like I have anyone else to answer messages with or anything like that. Another thing that I do is keep notes of when I need to touch base with people 3 weeks from their order date if they've ordered a challenge pack. So I'll write it in my daily Power of Threes 3 weeks from now. and then I'll highlight it so that it reminds me that day I need to speak to that person about their shakes and their Beachbody On Demand. And then at the bottom of the list, workout of the day, Shakeology, personal development, national wake-up call. Hopefully those are things that you are all doing every day. I have a couple notes here I just want to make sure I went through. If for some reason the power of threes is not appealing to you, if you don't like that as a tracker, you can go on Google and just Google Beachbody tracking, and tons of different resources will pop up. I know there's a business activity tracker in the online office if you want to try that out. You just have to find a system that works for you. And honestly, I still am kind of tweaking the system that I use. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. Just make sure that you are tracking and that you are getting in those daily behaviors. Tara, when I was watching her video today, said her number one recommendation is to get her PD in first thing in the morning because, like I said, it sets the tone for your day. For those of you that are newer to our group, we have in our file section in our team page, we have a document that has a link to our Team Alive to Thrive resources. It's a Google Drive. So check that out. And then Tara has one for her team as well. And I'm going to give you the web address to that so you can check it out if you haven't yet. There are a lot of resources in our personal team one, but there are a boatload of resources in Tara's Google Drive. So that's tinyurl.com/dreamagainresources. So make sure you check that out. There are tons of scripts, there are tons of templates, there are tons of examples of how to brand yourself, examples of how to invite to coaching, examples of how to invite to challenge groups, tons of resources at your fingertips. Okay, so really quickly, we have 7 minutes left. If anyone has any questions, I'm gonna unmute you guys if anyone has questions. Anybody? Okay. Well, I hope that was helpful, you guys. I will upload this and post it onto our team page. Please, I know some of you in the group have some newer coaches that have just joined. So please either tag them in the post or give the YouTube link to them in a private message or something, because I remember what it's like when you're a brand new coach and you're being told to do all of these things and how overwhelming it can feel. So it's nice to have it kind of spelled out for you in a video so you can actually see what it is that someone does during their power hour. And then I will also post the video that Tara did. It was a new coach call she did, so I will post that as well just so you can see her style, because her style is a little different than mine. So, all right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'm really sorry for my terrible technical skills there in the beginning. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.